The Secret Service will not be allowed, as much as they may want to, and they've already been told to stand down from looking at themselves and assessing themselves. They are now at the mercy of three, four external mechanisms.
So I was thinking about how I was going to start this intro off, and I was originally going to say, as all of the United States knows already, but then I got to thinking, my friends in Belize are talking about it. I got friends out in Canada talking about it. I'm pretty sure Russia's talking about it. China's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. You guessed it. The attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Crazy, right? Now, I held off for a few days because I wanted to make sure, all the facts are straight. Things are changing by the minute. My whole question is, how did the trained Secret Service, the best of the best, right? Elite, right? How did they let a 20-year-old person who was such a bad shot that he fell out of his shooting team, he couldn't even participate in his shooting team, how did they let this 20-year-old computer nerd sneak into this property and do that? That's my whole thing. That, what I mean? You used to look at Secret Service in your head because the movies make you feel that way, I guess, but you think they're like invincible men or some shit, and this whole perimeter is gonna be completely locked out. Shh, that was not the case for this. That's wild to me. But anyways, everybody be nice in the comments to each other. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you guys really are on right now. The fact that a president or a former president or a vice president, anybody that high on our scale, shouldn't be getting shot. That's crazy. And the whole world is looking at us right now. But anyways, we covered this on Patreon, and to all the Patreon members, we're going to have exclusive lives, Q&A, a bit more edgy subjects and all types of stuff every Friday, 4:30 p.m. PST, okay? So we're going to add more value to the Patreon. On top of that, I'm doing weekly polls. So all the Patreon members who are already a part of this, make sure you check in every week. There's a poll up right now. Tap into the poll, and you can have a hand in what we cover on our live streams during the day. Check out the new shit that's going on over there. And yeah, without further ado, people, let's go ahead and check this thing out. It's pretty wild.
From these multiple different investigations, what could happen?
Well, first, they're going to look at what went wrong. They're going to look at the operational security plans, the number of agents that were there, the number of Secret Service uniform division officers, how many special operations teams were there, counter snipers, counter assault team. Were they purely Secret Service teams, or were they a hybrid where Secret Service was married up with state and local resources? Like we're hearing, how many police officers from what jurisdictions were requested to come in and support that outer perimeter area. So that visit itself is going to be under a microscope to look at what went wrong there. That's one area they're going to look at. Then they're going to start looking at more systemic things. What are the hiring practices of the Secret Service? This director happens to be very big in DEI. She implemented a program called the 30 for 30 campaign when she became director. That is, she wants the Secret Service workforce to have 30% females by the year 2030. The big question is going to be, in order for her to meet that quota that she put in place, had she lowered standards throughout the agency? So naturally, they're going to then go on to training. Is training still the world-class training that it was when I went through? And they're going to look at operations.
That man said, when I went through. He was like, when I went through, okay? When I went through that bitch, it better be as hard. If it's not, something's wrong.
They're going to look at resources. And this is where the Department of Homeland Security comes into the conversation. Is the Department of Homeland Security giving the Secret Service the resources that it needs to carry out their zero-fail mission?
Director Cheadle, there are calls for her to resign. A, do you think she will resign? Do you think that's the right call for her to resign? What's your take on it? And if she doesn't resign, could she be fired? And how could she be fired? What's the protocol there?
So I don't think she'll resign. She has said she has no intention on resigning. Yes, she can be fired. She is a presidential appointee, non confirmed by the Senate. So it would likely be a joint decision between her immediate boss, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the President of the United States. What I think is the focus now needs to be on the U.S. Secret Service. The agency has to come out of this stronger than before this situation took place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. Damn, look at his ear. When something like this happens, I don't care about people's feelings or, you know what I mean? I don't care about people's feelings or how they feel like, oh, I'm here to fight for equality of the force and this and no, fuck you, fuck all that. I mean, somebody's got to get fired. When a president or a former president gets shot of any caliber, of any time, of any place, somebody needs, like, something's got to happen unless it was the perfect assassination. Everybody did their job to a fucking T. If a president gets shot and you're, listen, if a president gets shot and you're on the detail, everybody needs to get investigated. And any slip up at all, it's like a final exam. Any slip up at all, that person needs to get fired. It's just, this is going to be the biggest audit of the service. That's what it should be. It should be audit time. All right, who fucked up when that person got shot? Fire them. You know, there's no honest mistake. Oh, my bad. Honest mistake. No, just fire them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. They only have one. Yeah. I don't know. And it's not like it was I'm saying, like, if it was the perfect if it was the perfect assassination or the perfect assassination attempt, then fine. You guys did a great job. But an amateur, they said he was the worst in his shooting class. He couldn't even join his shooting team or whatever. You let an amateur get this close? Nah, bro. Somebody's got to get fired.
They need to make sure that they have everything that they need to do their job, as I already said. And I think at this point in time, it can't be about the individual, the director, who has already come out and made too many statements that just fly in the face of common sense. So I think it's undercut the credibility of the agency enough. I think the attention has been too much on her, and I think it really needs to be on the agency right now to make sure that they're able to do their important job, not just for the people they protect, but ultimately for democracy.
All right, so that is what we have right now. This story is evolving. This story is changing. We are getting new information. This is what we have right now, but of course, we will continue to follow the latest in this shooting that should never have happened.
Yeah. I think somebody needs to get fired. A few people need to get fired. I don't know who. I'm not the guy who runs this shit. But somebody's got to get fired. That's a no-brainer. Especially when you have a fucking amateur child come and shoot at a former president. That's wild to me. Like, I always grew up, listen to me, check this out. I always grew up thinking that the Secret Service were like superheroes. That was like a Santa Claus moment for me. Even with the other president who got, the other presidents who've gotten shot. Who else was it? I don't want to say the wrong person. Was it Reagan? It was Reagan. And then the one before that. I still felt like they were superheroes because those assassinations were calculated. They were grown-ass men. I just think that an amateur, that's crazy. They dropped the ball for me. In terms of Secret Service, I'm just like, fuck, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess. And they've got to feel that way in terms of the rest of the world. It's not even for us too. It's for us to feel safe, but that's for the rest of the world. Like, oh, okay. A 20-year-old came and shot up the spot. A 20-year-old computer nerd came and shot up the place. Killed it, Y'all supposed to have the guns, the laser beams from the satellites and shit. You're supposed to have James Bond on the hillside. And then again, I was thinking, okay, maybe, former president. So maybe it's like, okay, they're not really that uptight in security, but at the same time it's still maybe it's the B team, maybe the A team is on Biden, the B team is taking care of the former president. But bruh, y'all need to check on the B team. You know what I'm saying? I have no fucking clue how the Secret Service works. But I'm just saying they need to they need to do a little soul searching after this one. This was if this was the Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl by accident because the other team was brain dead. That's how they won the Super Bowl. If we're talking in terms of that, it's crazy. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a wild one, folks. Or I should say, Catherine. I'm used to talking to so many people. It's gonna be a wild one. It's gonna be a wild couple months. It's gonna be crazy. You think it's not gonna be, but it will be.